We are wired to look for an upgrade. We want a better job, a more comfortable home, a smoother daily routine. This consumer instinct bleeds directly into our spiritual lives. We walk into a church service and subconsciously calculate our emotional return on investment, grading the music, the sermon, and the atmosphere based on how they make us feel. But the biblical text presents a completely different pursuit. In the Gospel of John, Jesus tells the woman at the well that God is actually the one searching. He is actively looking across the earth for a specific type of person, true worshipers. Think about the implications of that statement. If the creator of the universe has to actively scour the earth to find true worshipers, it implies they are exceptionally hard to find. This scarcity exists because our default approach is backward. We treat worship as a product to consume, whereas the historical and biblical record demands the exact opposite. The Apostle Paul describes true and proper worship as offering your body as a living sacrifice. This is an active, continuous lifestyle built on an intentional growth in the knowledge of who God is, rather than a weekly ceremony you passively attend. The prophet Hosea recorded a stark warning to ancient Israel. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings. God prioritized a genuine thirst to know Him far above the mere execution of a religious ritual. The English word itself points to this reality. Worship originates from the Old English term worthship, meaning worthship. It is the act of ascribing value and showing importance. It is about what you give, not the service you receive. This diagram illustrates a necessary reversal. We usually picture the energy flowing from the stage out to the seats, treating the congregation as the audience. In true worship, the congregation is the offering, and God is the singular audience. Demonstrating worth requires giving up what is most valuable, our time, wealth, and talents. Throughout Scripture, this carried a heavy cost. Abraham was asked to offer his son Isaac. Abel gave the firstborn of his flock. A woman broke open her most expensive alabaster jar of perfume to anoint Jesus. They offered their absolute priority. When worship is defined as the active surrender of your most precious resources to demonstrate God's worth, the consumer experience becomes an impossibility. Treating a service like a personal emotional refill contradicts the very meaning of the word. This changes the metric for success. If God is the true audience, we can no longer leave a service asking, "Did I feel anything today?" The only valid question is, was God pleased? The writer of Hebrews provides the standard. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. An emotional high is not the requirement. Believing His promises and obeying His word, even when you feel absolutely nothing, is the metric that brings Him joy. Look at the life of Job. For 37 chapters, he endured devastating tragedy. He lost his wealth, his children, and his health. Through it all, God offered no explanation and remained completely silent. Yet Job maintained absolute trust. The primary obstacle to this level of faith-driven sacrifice is our own ego. Our deep-seated self-centeredness constantly demands to be the center of attention, insisting on its own comfort and its own righteousness. This self-centeredness is so toxic to worship that Jesus laid down a strict prerequisite. He instructed that if you are offering your gift at the altar and remember that someone has a grievance against you, you must leave your gift and go reconcile first. God cannot receive your worship if you harbor unforgiveness. True worship happens in the grueling, intentional decision to lay down your ego, forgive your neighbor, and obey God, regardless of how you feel. We are called to carry the identity of a worshiper into every hour of the day, moving beyond the simple habit of attending a weekly service. We live this way in direct response to what has already been done for us. Jesus gave up everything, dying on a cross to offer grace we could never earn. Our entire life of sacrifice is a reaction to His. How we handle our money, how we treat the people who wrong us, and how we hold on to quiet faith in our darkest moments are the actual mechanics of worship. They are the most accurate forms of gratitude we can offer. It is time to abandon the consumer question. Stop evaluating your church, your prayers, and your spiritual routines by asking what you got out of them. At the end of a Sunday service, or at the end of a long, exhausting day, there is only one valid question left to ask. Was God pleased with the offering of your life?